You're listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast, the show that helps you build wealth faster, think outside the box, and break out of the herd. Here's your host, Jim Oliver.
Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and today we are continuing to talk about our 2026 and how to get that kicked off right. So today, it's designing your inner operating system for 2026. Your inner operating system. So think about this, like kind of the theme is identity, energy, perception, emotional mastery, your blueprint for becoming the best you, unstoppable in 2026. So 2026 won't be shaped by your goals. A lot of people see this as like, hey, I'm going to shape my 2026 by these goals that I'm going to set. That's not what's going to happen. It's not going to be driven by your goals. It's going to fall to the level of your systems, right? You don't rise to your goals. You follow to the level of your systems, and systems are built on identity. So it's not going to be shaped by goals. It's going to be shaped by your operating system that's running your life, like whatever that is. So if you change the system, you can change your outcomes. And this episode is going to be the blueprint on how to do that. Okay. So there's some science behind this. Carnegie Mellon talked about identity-based change is 300% more sustainable than habit-based change. Everybody wants to talk about creating new habits. No, create a new identity. Your identity will drive your habits, and that will drive your behavior. Your brain literally fights actions that don't match your identity. Your brain will fight it, right? I have an identity of being at 60 healthier than I was at 35, or more, I can hit the golf ball more further than I did when I was 50, right? Whatever it is. I see that. I act it. That is my identity. My identity is not a senior citizen. My identity is 60, in shape, thriving, getting stronger, getting leaner, getting healthier, going down in biological age. So here's another example of that. Kobe Bryant, as most people know, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I grew up a Laker fan. And Kobe didn't try to be disciplined. It was the Mamba mentality, identity coded his behavior. Okay, let me say that again. He was Mamba mentality. That identity coded his behavior. Coded like a computer. Okay, where the computer doesn't have a choice. Once you code that identity in your brain, you are that. Okay, and in 2026, that's what we're going to do. A person who sees themselves as wealthy thinks differently than someone who sees themselves as trying to get ahead, trying to get wealthy. Okay? This is the way I say it. Identity is the root, and your behavior, that's the fruit. So energy is your real currency. Let me say that again. Energy is your real currency. Most people want more time. But what they really want is more usable energy, because energy determines your execution. So let me talk about that for a second. In 2024, Harvard did a study for peak cognitive performance. And it happens in 90 to 120 minute ways. So what they learned is that the decision quality collapses when energy dips, not when the time runs out. So it's not like this time thing. And Tom Brady structures everything, sleep, training, diet, around maximizing energy, and played till he was 45. It's hard for me to say that as a Raiders fan, what the Patriots did to us in the 90s or the 2000s. But, you know, you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, he's the greatest of all time, and it was preparation has a lot to do with it. So CEOs who protect their energy windows outperform those working long hours. Elon Musk, it's about energy, right? So here's another line that I think about. Protect your energy like your money, because it pays you back with interest. Protect your energy like your money, It pays you back with interest. So our energy is going to be the key. All right. So perception creates possibilities. Remember that RAS filter, reticular activation system? You have to perceive yourself as wealthy, as healthy, whatever your goals are. You can only act on opportunities that you can see. Nelson used to say with infinite banking that opportunities find cash. I bet if you can't see those opportunities, then you can't act on them. So your life is filtered through this reticular activating system, RAS, which decides what you notice. It decides what you notice. Think about that. So there's a little bit of science to this. You have 11 million bits of information every second, but your RAS lets only 40 bits through. Now think about that. You have 11 million bits per second, and your RAS filters those into 40. That's pretty amazing, right? If your filter is set to fear, threats, a scarcity, that's all you see. And there's so many people out there that they'll point those things out for you. You don't need to see that. You don't need to be discouraged by yourself. And one of the best examples of this is like red car theory, right? You ever want a specific car, then it's all of a sudden you see it everywhere? That's RAS, right? For a while, I wanted a Lamborghini Urus, and I saw them everywhere. And then I saw them so much, I was like, I don't really want that car. So entrepreneurs who write daily gratitude, by the way, that increases your opportunity recognition by 22%. All right, so remember, we're 11 million to 40, and we can increase by 22% being grateful, right? Have a grateful heart, grateful mind. So your eyes follow your expectation, reset the filter, and you reset your future. You got to reset that filter of only seeing positive, gratitude, opportunity, right? Now, what do you need to do that? You need some confidence. Confidence is a skill set. That's all it is. You can learn to be confident. What makes us confident? Well, I'm more confident in my golf game when I'm practicing. That's called preparation. So that when I like to play for money every once in a while, because then when I get into a tournament and I need to play well, guess what? I was just playing for hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars, not very often. And I'm confident that I can hit that shot. So confidence isn't something you have. It's something you build through a cycle. Okay, so what's the cycle? This is right from Dan Sullivan's strategic coach. Courage, commitment, capability, confidence, repeat. Courage, commitment, capability, confidence, repeat. That's the cycle. Dopamine increases not when you win, it's when you take a courageous step. You don't have to win. You have to take a courageous step. I have a friend right now who's about ready to buy a house. Her friends are telling her, well, that's too much and everything else, right? And what I keep telling her is, take that step. Take that step. Because self-efficacy is the number one predictor of future success. Okay, so Elon Musk launched rockets he knew would blow up. He knew they were going to fail. Courage before capability, right? Courage is before capability in that cycle. Your first IBC policy, your first real estate move, confidence grew after action, not before. Then you're just getting ready to get ready. So many people live their whole lives getting ready to get ready. It's not. And then this is the way that I say it is confidence is earned reps, not emotion. Emotion is cocky. Nobody wants cockiness. Cockiness is not what you want. You want confidence. All right. So one of the things to get confidence, to get our minds right, is stillness. And this is going to be our exercise for the day. This is not easy for me. The stillness thing is hard, right? In the Bible, it says, be still. Very simple, very difficult. Stillness looks weak to the world, right? And it feels weak sometimes. But that's where God gives you clarity, power, and direction. Just sit there and listen. And Duke did a study 30 minutes of silence increases the hippocampal growth. Hippocampal, I think that's the way to say it. Part of your brain, okay, that memory plus clarity. So, that's a study. And again, you can look that up and get more details if you want to. But the theta brainwaves during silence increases creative problem solving by 400% is what they discovered. Again, 400%. How do we get these advantages? Well, 400% is an advantage. So remember that also in the Bible says, be still and know, I didn't add this part till now, and know that I am God, right? Be still and know that I am God. So I'm being still. I'm listening for who? For God. If I'm listening and if, that's my belief system is I know God's going to talk to me in that 30 minutes of quiet. Sometimes it's not what I want to hear, but it will be communicated. So every breakthrough idea that you ever had came from quiet, not chaos. Okay. I've had chaos in my life for a long time. Okay. That's not when I'm growing. That's not when I'm getting more confident. It's when I'm quiet. And top executives use silence before big decisions because it resets the nervous system. Again, the way that I like to say it is science is your new superpower. Okay. Silence, 30 minutes. Okay. So one of the things that we have to do when we're going to do that is we have to have emotional regulation. Emotional regulation equals business advantage. Excuse me. Your emotional state determines your decision quality. If you can regulate emotion, you're going to dominate the room. That's it. Don't be reactionary. And if you guys have ever heard of heart math, right? It's a heart-brain coherence and heart-brain system, and it's how you do it, and it's how you breathe, and what you think about, how you focus on breathing through your heart. But heart-brain coherence increases mental clarity by 40 to 60%. Now, this isn't Jim Oliver saying this. This is Stanford, right? As liberal as they might be. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, under stress, the brain loses access to about 70% of its decision-making power. Think about that. Heart-brain coherence, that's being quiet, focusing, meditating, praying, breathing in through your heart, connects your brain and your heart, increases your clarity by 40 to 60%. And stress, you lose access to 70% of your decision-making power. All right, so here's an example. Navy SEALs, we've talked about this. Train with 4-4-4-4 breathing, box breathing, right? They stay lethal under pressure by staying calm and controlling their emotions. Warren Buffett says emotional control, not intelligence, is his edge, right? Calm is where kings are made. Calm. Remember the poem by Kipling, If? There's a line in there that says, if you can keep your head when everybody else is losing theirs, the world is yours, right? I mean, I believe that so much. It's happened so many times in my life. Environment beats willpower, right? Like if I hang out at Chick-fil-A every morning, well, then my environment is not very good. If I hang out with negative, scarce people, then my environment isn't very good. I talked about before, you can't control your environment. Don't hang out at Chick-fil-A, hang out at the gym. And don't hang out with people that are dragging you down. Hang out with people that are lifting you up. And your environment wins 100% of the time. Okay, these other, I'm giving you a lot of percentages, but 100% of the time. If your environment is aligned with your goals, you win automatically. You cannot go to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. and be fat. You can't do it. Okay, so 45% of your actions are automatic responses to cues. I mean, think about that. The alarm goes off, I get up, I do my things, I go out the door, I go to the gym, I come home. It's cues, right? We even put notifications on calendars and everything else as cues. Willpower is a depleting chemical. Structure is not. Structure wins. Willpower, forget it. And people don't lose weight because of willpower. They change the kitchen. Go look in my pantry. If all I had was a bunch of junk in there, I would not get in shape. So take your calendar, your circle, your information diet. They determine your trajectory. Whatever is on that phone determines what you're going to do. And so have healthy things on there. Remember, structure is freedom. Structure is freedom because you're going to get your goals. All right. So here's scripture anchor. Heart is the point. That's the point. I mean, even if you're Buddhist, okay, one of the 5 noble truths is life is suffering. That just means it's hard. So God uses resistance to reveal strength. Without adversity, you grow tall but hollow. And, think about a tree. Without the wind, the tree would never grow bigger roots, right? Nathan's a forester. Like the wind is what creates strong trees. Think about that. So if there was no wind, the trees would just fall down because they wouldn't grow strong roots. So let's go a couple of different Bible verses. James 1, 2-4. Trials, perseverance, maturity. That's the pattern. That's the environment, right? Romans 5, suffering creates endurance, character, hope, right? I always say hope isn't a strategy unless it's in the Bible. So, all right. So that biosphere 2 trees collapsed because there was no wind. That's what I was just talking about, right? And your hardest seasons, the wind made you unbreakable. In your hardest seasons, the wind made you unbreakable. Creates your roots. One of my favorite quotes in the world, adversity introduces a man to himself. All right. The questions that are going to rewrite 2026 for you. Don't ask, what do I want in 2026? Don't ask that. That's not going to do any good. That's going to give you those New Year's resolutions that last 3 weeks because willpower will not get it done. Ask, who must I become so that everything I want becomes inevitable? That future self-visualization increases goal achievement by 46%. The brain literally rewires based on the identity that you visualize. And I've said this before, but just to share again, when I was a kid and I was very poor, I was hungry a lot of nights and I couldn't sleep. And so the way that I got to sleep and the way that I rewired my brain, and people would say, like, how did you get out of your upbringing or your circumstances? Okay. One of the ways was visualization. I actually thought there was something wrong with me because I did this, right? I would have all this imagination of building this big house and knocking down all these houses on my block. And I didn't realize that I wouldn't live there, like just having these things that I couldn't even imagine. Well, I guess I could imagine them. And I visualized them over and over and over again. And guess what? I'd go to sleep. That whole thing about drinking water to not be hungry, I tested it. It works. Okay. You might have to pee in the middle of the night, even as a kid. But visualize the life that you want. Visualize it. Olympians visualize the win before they compete. In golf, if you stand over a ball and you pick out a tiny little target, very focused, and you say, I'm going to do this, guess what? Your brain makes it happen. Bob Rotella has a whole book series on this. And anyone who's transformed their lives saw their new lives first. They saw their new self first. Okay, so another thing that I say is become the person who makes the result automatic, right? You have to be that person. All right. So here's we're going to give 2 exercises as I wrap up here. One is your identity sentence for 2026. In 2026, I'm the kind of person who, and you make all those things. Okay. So now we're going to do an energy audit. Okay, because we know we need energy. 1 energizer, 1 drainer in your life. This is really simple, but I'm just telling you it works. Double the energizer and delete the drainer. Delete them. Delete them, the habit, whatever it is. Double the energizer, delete the drainer. And then I want you to do one hard thing. A courageous rep to activate the flywheel. Okay? Because we got to take action. Action cures fear, right? Action cures everything, honestly. So we're going to take one action. All right? So that's the first exercise, those things right there. Okay? Here's the last exercise. And this is the hardest one, is we have to disconnect from noise, reset the nervous system, open the channel where God speaks, unlock clarity and creativity the world can't touch. All right. So first you got to prep. Okay. Here's how we prep. Put the phone in airplane mode. Do not disturb, where you can see things pop up or whatever it does. I don't know these different modes, but airplane mode, I know you're not getting anything. Sit somewhere comfortable, right? But upright. No slouching, no laying in bed. We're not trying to fall asleep. Okay. No music, no journaling, no Bible. Sorry. No podcast. Maybe this one. Nothing. This is pure silence. Okay. I'm just playing. No music, no journaling, nothing. No podcast, listening, nothing. Pure silence. Stillness is not escape. It's collaboration. What? You're collaborating. Okay. Okay, so now we're ready. Drop your body out of stress mode into coherence. So this is how you can do it. If you don't do heart math, this is the simplest way. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold it for 2 seconds. Exhale, for 6 seconds. Why not do the 4-4-4 that the Navy SEALs do? You can do that, okay? But this one is more from coherence. You exhale for 6 seconds. So 4 seconds in, hold for 2 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. I did it once. I feel different. I'm just telling you. If you did it with me, you feel different. Now, we're not going to do it here, but repeat that 8 to 10 times. Me, I'm slow. I go 10. Okay? 10 times. You will feel different after doing that 10 times. If you don't, call me on my cell phone. Okay? Because you're doing it wrong. I'll get you there. So what this does is it shifts from your sympathetic to your parasympathetic, increases prefrontal cortex access, and it boosts your decision quality. Just that. Okay? Navy SEALs do their breathing before breaching a door. Now think about what's going to happen when they breach that door. People are going to die. Hopefully it's not the Navy SEALs, right? There's going to be gunfire probably. Okay, so we're going to do the silence thing for 30 minutes, right? So the first 10 minutes is key. I call that the first silence window. Don't try to think. Don't try to force a prayer. Don't chase thoughts. Let the mind settle. It takes 10 minutes. Thoughts will fly around your head. Let them pass through like traffic. I've always said that. I think of the 405 back in the day. Just think of it. Come in and out. Come in and out. After 8 minutes, the brain's going to get into theta state. Creativity and intuition will rise. This is where God speaks when the world shuts up. All right, so now that's the first 10 minutes. The second 10 minutes is, now that your mind is quiet, start listening intentionally. And you can ask silently, some things like this. God, what do you want me to see today? Where am I not paying attention? Who do I need to forgive, encourage, or release? What do I do next? Don't force these answers. Let them float up. Okay? Float up into your consciousness. Okay? This isn't some crazy stuff. This is all science-based. Okay? Your biggest revelations, business, relationship, faith, have always come during silence, not noise. All right. So the last 5 minutes, or the next 5 minutes, you're still sitting in silence. Now allow clarity to show up. You're listening for this, an idea that you've been avoiding, the person you need to call, the risk you need to take, the burden you just need to drop, the decision that ends confusion. Okay, so the hippocampus, I think that's what you say, hippocampus, and the prefrontal cortex, they sync during silence. meaning your memory, values, your long-term vision, they all align. This is where big decisions are born. You'll be shocked. I mean, I've had so many huge revelations in that 5 minutes. And then at the end, okay, before you stand up, ask yourself, what one thing did God highlight for me today? What one thing? Whatever comes up, act on it within 24 hours. Okay, why? Action cements revelation. Action cements revelation. Delay kills it. If you just let it go, then it's gone. But again, do this if you really want to be badass, you want to be in beast mode, do this first thing in the morning, before your phone, coffee, or conversation. Your brain is in natural theta first thing in the morning. God has first say before the world hijacks your attention, right? It says Jesus went first thing in the dark and pray. I mean, I don't want you to pray during this time. I want you to get your mind right. And then you're going to kill it. I mean, you're going to kill it. And stillness isn't passive, okay? It's where you step into that spiritual signal strength and hear the next move of clarity that the world can't touch. Because when you have that clarity, when you have that, you are unstoppable and the world doesn't like that. All right, I hope that was helpful. That's episode 2 in our series to get us ready for 2026. So thank you all for listening. We're going to end this the way we always do with the incredible words of Earl Nightingale. Take it away, Earl.
Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about.
Thanks for listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If you want to start increasing your wealth building ability right now, go to community.createtailwind.com to join our free online community and get access to free, in-depth training designed to help you build real, lasting wealth. See you next week.